Welcome back. You're still tuned into ET Now, and lots happening in the IT sector. So let's put the spotlight on the larger and the longer term themes. And to understand that, we are now joined by John David Lovelock, Distinguished VP Analyst at Gartner. Thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now. And first up, forecast shows a sharp growth in IT spending, which has jumped from about $6.15 trillion in Feb 26 to $6.31 trillion in just 2 months. What factors or changes drive this kind of growth, and what's your outlook on IT spending going forward?
It's really all coming down to AI continuing to exceed our expectations in some areas. And in this case, it's in this AI optimized server space. We've added a tremendous amount of money to this forecast individually and some of the knock-on forecasts as well. For example, enterprise networking equipment is also up due to the massive number of hyperscalers that are building out the new AI data centers around the world. We're building the foundation for what we need to run AI, large language models, and agents in the future.
And what are the implications of accelerating global IT spending growth for India particularly? How do you think India is positioned on a global level to see and reap the benefits of global IT spending?
India is well positioned to take advantage of much of what is happening in the world of AI, despite the fact that services are growing relatively shallow rates of about between 3 and 4%, depending on the country that we're talking about. There's still a great deal of need for IT services around the world. Managed services particularly have to grow in the next few years as CIOs need to take their staff away from commoditized efforts and put them towards more of the strategic AI initiatives that are going on. This opens a new door for managed services to start filling this labor gap that's out there. We also see that managed services needs to also start to include much more in the way of automations that are being done, including AI and agentic, in order to be the next level of labor arbitrage, to take more costs out of the offerings. So even despite the lower growth rates, there's much more work coming towards the services in India specifically.
So that's as far as spending in India is concerned. But we've also seen a structural shift from traditional IT services to AI and software-led spending. Where do you think this means? What do you think this means for Indian IT firms, and what kind of benefits will they enjoy?
Indian IT firms, much like every IT firm in the world right now, is at a crossroads. They've spent many years building up their practices as is and helping clients do their new level of technology. Now, clients are shifting towards starting to implement more in the way of large language models, domain-specific models, and of course, agentic AI is starting to come to fruition as well. But where AI is serving as a different technology is that it's also starting to change the way that services are delivered. So services firms around the world have to embrace the idea that how they deliver the services that are purchased from them have to now start to incorporate AI in the delivery. And clients are expecting this delivery to be there. They're expecting that AI will be used in the delivery, and they're asking for discounts for it. So services firms are in a bad position in one sense, where software companies can spend money to develop new AI applications and services, and they're rewarded with more money for doing so because they're bringing more feature functionality to their clients. Services firms spend money to bring in IT services that are AI enabled, and they're rewarded with smaller contracts.
Right. Let's also understand India's participation in AI-led capex cycle, especially data center and hyperscaler-driven investments. How can India keep up with this, and what potential does India have as a result of this?
It's not necessarily true that India has to compete at the mega AI data center level. Certainly, this is something that we're seeing roll out across the United States, and is typical with new technologies. It does start and get its footing in the United States. Internet started in the United States, cloud started in the United States, AI is starting in the United States and attracts most of the dollars. They are the largest market in the world. They make up over 50% of the AI spending today. So it makes sense that they are the ones committed to spending the most on data centers. The rest of the world is keeping pace with where their AI is going to be. But unlike cloud, where latency and lag become an issue in delivery, and data centers must move closer to their end users, that's not true for AI. AI already has an extensive lag built into prompt and responses. So adding a few hundred milliseconds for distance is not a problem with AI delivery. We don't have that same level of immediacy. So while it'd be useful for India to have data centers so they can start to invest and build their own large language models, domain-specific models, and run agents locally, it's not a requirement for them to be able to take advantage of this technology and bring it to the world.
Understood. So that's as far as AI is concerned. What is your margin outlook in an AI-heavy environment with rising infra costs and changing cost structures? What sort of margin should IT companies expect as a result of this changing dynamics?
Near to midterm, margins are going to be under extreme pressure. Right now, we are lumping together companies that are buying AI infrastructure and calling them the new hyperscalers. So AI hyperscale data centers are being built with, GPU-based servers and with AI accelerated servers as well, starting to become more into the fore. And while it's useful to group companies by the way that they are purchasing, we can't continue that categorization when we say, how are they going to make money from these servers? AI is a different technology. It's not going to be the repeat of cloud where we purchase servers and then rent out the capacity either through VMware instances, Kubernetes, bare metal, platform as a service. With AI, although some of these services are coming from all of the hyperscalers, each of the hyperscalers is also bringing other products and services to market in order to monetize those servers. And in some cases, they're defending traditional lines of revenue in order to make sure that their ad-based revenue or their products continue to expand and be relevant in front of their clients. The means for paying off the massive capital investment in these servers is as myriad as the companies pursuing them. And we can't look to overall a standard margin from any of these companies. Further, we are still in an investment phase in this case. We are still over investing in data centers that need to be there in 2 or 3 years. So margins are going to be a little reduced, particularly when we're still trying to gain attraction and use of AI and often giving away products and services and tokens in order to gain users.
Understood. And let's also understand market positioning, whether Indian IT is structurally under or overvalued or facing long-term disruption from AI. What are your thoughts on this?
The entire services industry is facing disruptions because of AI. What clients need from us or what need from service providers is changing. Where they will be needing that is changing. The expectation that the services will be delivered using some form of agentic AI and large language models in the background is now becoming a requirement. Where services are located is also changing, and how we de-risk in a global environment that is increasingly becoming uncertain is another piece of dislocation that is affecting every services company around the globe, not just India.
Right, John, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now and helping us understand every